The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
I think I've always believed in the paranormal, but the deeper I get in this field, the more questions I uncover. I started a program called Seeking the Paranormal in an effort to gain insight and dialogue from others interested in the same things as me. And while we've learned a lot together, the questions still remain. So I'm bringing my thoughts to the airwaves, and I've brought along my friends, Adam and John, to share in the fun. Together, we'll tackle the tough topics and debate the evidence as we continue to seek the paranormal.
Gentlemen, this is the start of episode 10.
Woohoo!
We
Double
have
digits.
officially made it to the double digits.
Yes, it'd be nice if we had double-digit listeners.
No! Well, we've got Shay and Darren, so at least we've got that going for us. Maybe they'll start telling friends.
I hope so.
Not if they're like me, I haven't got any friends.
Well, let's hope that they do. Well, John has some good news. We officially have a date for publication.
Yes, October 1st, if nothing goes badly wrong.
Now, because I feel like we are due special treatment, do we get to hear a little bit about your book?
Yes, if you would like to.
We would love to.
Basically, it's called Leaps of Faith, Ghost Hunting and Objectivity, and it is my narration of what's wrong, not wrong, but how ghost hunting should concentrate more on the objective stuff instead of a narration of, I think it's this and this may be, and then it turns into a big old story and we're just telling stories. None of it's, we haven't got hardly any proof, so basically the book is an overview of what objectivity really is. So, for people to say, well, that was proof, if you read the book, you might say, well, actually, no, it's not really proof, it's just something that happened that I think happened, that is connected to this. So, and then it's just tips on, equipment, how to be objective on a ghost hunt, how to try to leave your belief system outside of the door when you're actually doing the investigation. Because if you believe, it's hard to do, but if you go in there with a strong belief system, anything that happens in there is going to fit your belief system. So really all you're doing is reinforcing an idea you already have. If you can leave that outside and just go make observations, get data points, and then once you've got enough of them, then you can start maybe drawing conclusions. So, basically that's what the book's about. It's got some of our case studies in. It's got the first one when we weren't actually ghost hunting. That's what got me into ghost hunting. Edinburgh Manor. It's got the Friar School, the Granger House, obviously.
Hey, Granger House.
So the Squirrel Cage, the Mason Inn. So
you did include the Mason House in.
I did because it made a point to me. Every case, even if you don't get anything, has something to add. If you look at it objectively. So even a lack of evidence isn't necessarily that it's not haunted. In fact, I got a flowchart in there that's got, about investigating and stuff. Should you go back or what should you do with the data? But every investigation you do is a data point in that, basically you're looking for, or what I'm looking for is probabilities versus improbable. So, if you get a lot of things that are improbable, for example, an EVP, people can say, that's noise bouncing off that came from the car radio, it's bouncing off weird acoustics. No, but that is a good explanation that a lot of objective people put forward.
You're correct.
Now, the possibility of that happening are, who knows? It's not very probable.
Mm-hmm.
If you start getting a lot of them, then all of a sudden that improbability starts to matter.
Right.
So that's what I mean about getting data points. And then on top of that, if what you're hearing on an EVP belongs to that location or something you're doing, so now the improbability goes up even more. So I guess objectively I'm looking at improbabilities, and it's the same with the spirit box. It's unproven, so it's not very objective. However, for me it's fun, because what are the probabilities of, something coming over the radio, the thing's an EVP, some of what we're doing, an answer to that question. And then if we get, and we've got sometimes sentences that are going over so many channel changes, that what are my chances of getting? So for me, being objective on a ghost hunt is that's what it is. Try not to weave it into a story, just get those data points, and if you can draw conclusions from them, great. Because to me the aim is to actually talk to people that don't believe in ghosts and say, hey, look what I got, and have them scratch their head and not just go, oh, and be able, if you just do a narration with no evidence or no hard data, because ghosts have to work in the physical world in some way. So, if you're going to try and argue your case to someone, whether they're a believer or non-believer in ghosts, if you've got the underlying data or the underpinning data, you say, okay, no, that's just my interpretation of this data, what's yours? Mm-hmm. If it's really improbable, they're going to sound as foolish as you are if they don't believe in ghosts. Right. Well, that was just this and that and this and that, and this one, oh yeah, that was, and then you look at them and go, what's the possibilities of that happening?
Right.
So that way you can engage with everybody instead of just your belief peers circle.
And you actually reached out to somebody in the science field.
I did. It's Dr. Marco, and I can't pronounce his second name. So there's some physics evidence in there that I used from quantum physics. I sent it off to him to make sure. I'd hate to write a book on objectivity and have the facts wrong. So I actually sent it off to a physics professor and said, look, am I overreaching or misunderstanding? I haven't done science for 35 years at school. You try and keep up. And when he came back, he said, you make the mistakes you have in there that we've corrected. He said, a lot of people make because they learn their physics from media, and media only go over, usually go for sensationalism. Mm-hmm. So, a lot of what you thought or what you said, isn't quite true anymore, or is some way, distorted through the lens of media. So went through and we edited that, and I changed a lot of is to maybes because that's what they are, they're theories. So, and also there's a part in there about the half-life of truths. So over a certain amount of time, 50% of the facts that science knows are either replaced or found to be untrue. So, and it depends what field you're in as to how long that amount of time is.
Sure.
So, there's like a warning in there if you are following a physics theory. Check in on it every now and then to make sure it hasn't been superseded.
Right. Science is constantly changing.
Yeah.
So where did you find this doctor?
Actually, I found him on Fiverr.com.
Okay.
I was like, hey, I was looking for different editors, and I used my main editor I found through Reedsy.com, which is really good if you're trying to write a book, because it gives you, the format and everything. So if you've never done one before, you're like, oh, you can start kind of building it like Lego.
Yeah.
And then if you go through them, they've got actual, proper editors, professional editors that you pay for, and this guy was really good that I found. So yeah, I did that, and then I thought, and then I looked on Fiverr, and I was looking for things like, I was trying to look for a cheap proofreader, and I came across this professor that says, I'll teach you quantum physics. So then I just shot a line off to him saying, hey, do you mind going through my manuscript? Send me a quote, because it's not going to be a Fiverr.com quote.
Yeah.
So, and he was interested, sent me back a quote, I sent him the manuscript, and then we got in touch, and that's how it happened. So
that's awesome.
I love using Fiverr.com. There's all kinds of people out there that you'd know they're normally me.
Right. Not only that, but while John was waiting for his book to come back, we've started a second one.
I did. I don't know. The preface and some of the first chapters, because I've run into so much of what isn't objective in ghost hunting. So I'm calling it initially the narrative of ghost hunting. I kind of want to lay out, if you're a ghost hunter and you're going to a place and it's got lore, or you're talking to people, I've had to try and understand where their narrative of what's going on is coming from, what they believe. Now, first thing I said in the book is, I'm not knocking or attacking anyone's beliefs. Beliefs are good. They get you through tough times. Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, your belief has got as much chance of being true as any other belief out there, so, who am I to knock it? But there is a narration that happens around a lot of places we go to, or what people think ghosts are. So, or spirits, or, it's not just pure science. So, I was kind of getting into, hey, where does this come from, and how many actual beliefs are there, and where do they come from? And I'm finding out that, there's fewer root beliefs, but there's lots of twists and things hanging on to, the kind of, this what kind of like tree branches going out there. So, and the nice thing I found about, the modern, I call them modern spiritualists. I don't mean to be rude, but that's, in my head, that's how I label it, as modern spiritualism, is they're a lot more forgiving than, structured religions. So if you listen to them give their theory of what's going on, they'll say, I don't want to belittle anybody else's theory. With the old religions, you're going to burn in hell, we need to cut your head off.
Yeah.
So, it's all fine and good. I think it's more progressive. So I just kind of wanted to I started putting those down on paper because I was waiting for an edit. I thought, what can I write about next? So, how that book will go, I don't know.
Good. Well, good for you. I've gotten a whole chapter written in my entire life. You've gotten 2 books.
Well, I haven't got 2 yet. I've got a book and a chapter, and their quality is to be seen. It just depends if people like them.
So, will you be then, will the book be available on Amazon?
Yeah, the Kindle edition is available for pre-order now, and then the book itself, October 1st. I got one last edit to wait to come back, just to put a little bit more polish on it. In which case, it's all set up, ready to go. I chose Adam, you're my distributor.
Okay.
Apparently, you've got 82% of the book market. I chose Amazon because you can publish for free there. If I went through someone like BookBaby, they wanted like $1,600.
Oh.
It's like, I'm never going to sell that many of them. And then, because they're going to put it on Barnes & Noble and Amazon, your royalty margin goes down on Amazon, but Amazon has like 82% of the book market. So I was like, I'm just going to put it on Amazon. It's not like people can't go to Amazon and get it if they want it. So, and it's print per order, so I don't have to fill up my house with books that I'll never sell.
Right. That's pish posh. We'll put some books for sale at the Granger house. I'm going to need a hard copy. I have a Kindle, but I love books. Obviously, you can see when you walk through my house. Obviously, I have an infatuation with books.
I'm emptying my library at the moment just because I've started using my Kindle, and as much as I like books, and I still get books, I hate throwing them away. So I'm.
Oh my God, I don't. Clearly, obviously, I don't do that either.
I made the decision that I gotta clear my office and my library, just keep the ones I want to keep, and make some room because I'm drowning.
And I hear you did not keep the doctor's good book on how long we have to talk to a ghost.
Oh no!
The ghost signal book.
No, I gave that away last night. I said last person touch it owns it. And I could tell she was having fun reading it because she was like, What? I'm going to sit him down.
Did Kelly end up with it then?
Yep.
Oh, good.
She even started reading it upside down and backwards because she thought it might make more sense.
It might, actually. You know what? We'll have to reach out to her to get her opinion on that book since you and I have given ours.
I'm going to buy another one, actually, because thinking about it, that book being in existence proves that my book isn't the worst in the universe. So.
That's true. That is true.
This is proof.
Physical, objective proof.
That's funny. All right. Well, so today we were going to talk about how film, and I think we can include TV a little bit too, has influenced the way we believe about the paranormal and how we go about the paranormal. Are we all on board with this?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, it's
So, one thing that I have asked that we all watch is a YouTube series that has kind of become pretty popular recently. It's called Hellier, and you can catch it on YouTube right now, although I think it could possibly be on Amazon Prime right now as well.
pretty sure it's on it. I've seen it on Amazon Prime.
Okay, so anyway, basically Dana and Greg Newkirk, who have the Traveling Museum of, let me get this right.
Haunted stuff.
Yeah, right? The Traveling Museum of the Paranormal and Occult, which we've seen, and we've actually met Dana and Greg before. They put together this series. It's a series right now of 5 episodes using a couple people who were originally with the Stanley Hotel. And basically the premise behind this is that Greg says in 2012 he was emailed from a gentleman named David Christie who said that he lived in or near Hellier, Kentucky. Well, and I've got it up here in front of me, so why don't I just read this instead of guessing? So, it's an independently funded documentary series spanning 5 hour-long episodes that make up a single first-season story. In 2012, Greg received an email from a man calling himself David Christie who claimed that he and his family were being terrorized by unearthly creatures by night. After exchanging emails, David disappeared. For the next 5 years, the case only got stranger as more connections and mysterious emails came in. In 2016, following 3 weeks of synchronicities spawned by a podcast episode about Greg's Kentucky Goblin story, Carl Pfeiffer, he's a documentary person, but I believe he was involved with the Stanley. Anyway, Carl Pfeiffer went into pre-production on Hellier, hoping to follow up on the cliffhanger of the initial story. After pulling together a team and all the prosumer camera equipment he had available, the team traveled to rural Kentucky not knowing what they would uncover or how deep they would discover the case might go. Here we are, a year after the initial expedition. Hundreds of hours went into the post-production process, and we're finally ready to unveil the months of hard work and dedication to you at no charge. So the first series is out right now. The second season, I guess, I don't know what else to call it, will be available on Amazon on November 29th and YouTube December 13th. So one thing I found was interesting. So I watched the first one because I followed Greg and Dana in the museum on Twitter. And I kept seeing Greg talk about Hellier, and I didn't know what the hell he was talking about, so I Googled it, and the episode came up, and I really liked the first episode, and that's what drew me in, and it was the first episode that I told these guys, okay, let's all watch it, and then we can talk about it. One thing that I thought was interesting, though, and this kind of sums up my attention span with it as well. So episode 1 on YouTube right now shows 218,000 views. Episode 2, 121,000. 3 is 98,000. 4 is 85,000, and 5 is 75,000. The teaser for season 2 has 3.6 thousand views. So, needless to say, it's really exciting at first.
It's interesting.
It is.
To me, I thought, oh, maybe this is going somewhere. By episode 2, I was like, kind of Blair Witchy, you know.
I think it was extremely Blair Witchy.
And then when I finished, I try to keep an open mind. To me, it was so drunk. They drug it so out, though. You could have done all of that in one episode.
Yeah.
But they drug it out, and
a documentary a few hours long, I think, would have been sufficient. Now, I would imagine that they have probably monetized the episode on YouTube, so they're probably getting paid for the amount of views that they're getting.
But I'm sure
can't
Amazon's
imagine they're not.
paying them.
I am fairly positive that the Newkirks do not have what we would consider regular jobs. That their jobs, they have a website that's called Week in Weird, and I'm sure that takes a ton of work. So I'm not surprised that they don't have another job. So that and their museum and now their Hellier project are probably the main ways that they get funding. Now, right now they're asking for people to donate to season 2 to help with production of season 2. So they're asking for donations from people. The other thing that they do, and they've done this since about Patreon came out, but you can be a Patreon member of the museum, and I just happened to have that up because I thought this was kind of interesting. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Patreon, basically what it does is you can give a monthly donation to different groups, I guess, and for that donation, you might get access to otherwise private posts or material and so forth. So if you wanted to be a Patreon member of Traveling Museum of the Paranormal and Occult, for $5 or more per month, you're a supernatural supporter. Get basically just to see all their stuff. And, then you can do one that's $15 a month, $25 a month, $55 a month. And then this is where it gets fun. So Preservationist is $100 a month. But they have one that's $250 a month. And for $250 a month, $250 a month, you can be on their advisory board. I went to their website to see how many people are on their advisory board, and there are like 12 people who are paying $250 a month to these people. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, it is to me. But because at the end of the day, what are you advising on?
Right.
I want at least a free haunted doll if I'm going to pay that much.
So now I know they've done some interesting stuff. So if you are unfamiliar with Billy, the Idol of Nightmares, it's kind of an interesting story, although in my opinion, which means nothing to anybody.
Did you say Billy Idol's Nightmares?
Billy, the Idol of Nightmares.
Oh, right.
Yes.
So basically everything in their museum has been donated to them by people who claim that these items are haunted. And the most haunted items the Newkirks take with them on the road with their traveling museum. One of them is a wooden idol that they say they have been unable to both accurately age or pinpoint where it came from. They call it Billy for Billy the Idol, or Billy Idol rather. I think the Newkirks kind of got obsessed with it because they were taking it literally everywhere with them, including investigations. It's an interesting story. So check it out if you haven't already. Again, you can find them on their website, which is paramuseum.com. So one thing that was kind of interesting about Billy is that they have a YouTube episode, I guess, of whatever, where they were trying to make a 3D print of Billy, and every time they tried to take a picture, something would come up blocking part of it, even though nothing was blocking him. And it really is, it's interesting how it appears he's interacting with this equipment and preventing his picture from being taken. But anyway, so they will make you reproductions of all the artifacts that they have in their museum using their 3D printer. And that is that is the gift that you get for being on the advisory board.
They finally, if I remember correctly, bribed him.
They did, with tobacco and whiskey.
Tobacco and rum or something. And
that's what she used in Hellier in the woods.
Yes.
They must get through a ton of tobacco doing that. And birthday candles.
So, and we talked before...
New sponsor, Marlboro.
We talked before about Wiccan, so I would imagine that's what Dana's into. I don't know. Now, aside from it being drawn out, and sorry, I'm doing a lot of talking and I don't mean to. So the whole Hellier thing the Hellier thing is based off of what's called the Kelly Hopkinsville encounter, which is an encounter with goblins. So in 1955, this family in Christian County, Kentucky, believed that they had goblins on their property. Believed they were coming from a UFO that had landed in the area. And the Newkirks believe that what they are chasing after may be these goblins reappearing, making another appearance. Aside from how long it took, what was your guys' opinions about the series? About what's happened thus far?
I don't really think anything's really happened. I mean...
That's fair.
Well, I mean, because in 5 episodes, you got a mysterious guy sending emails who goes away, and now nobody's heard of him. And then, I mean, just like, it seemed like everything just kind of came all the way back to the beginning at the end. Like, and I get, like, that's the whole mysterious part of it, but give me something more than, like you said earlier, a tin can. I mean, a tin can is really the biggest climax of 5 episodes of the show, was a goddamn tin can.
Well, and I felt like they were they kept going back to...
It wasn't even an original tin can. If you look at it, it's like a Purina cat chow tin can.
That's
it's not an old rusty one. You know? And he said, it's an old rusty tin can when he said, I got one in my hand. But when he looked at it, he said, oh no, that's exactly the one I saw. And I went back on purpose just to go, wait a minute, didn't he say it was a rusty one? I went back, and then I'm looking at the one they're looking at, and it's like a Purina cat chow tin can that has no rust on it whatsoever.
Right.
The only thing it didn't have on it was a label, so he was right there.
Right.
And it's not tin either, are they?
And he didn't, and I don't know, so that's my opinion.
They talked a lot about synchronicities.
Come on. I mean...
But a lot of them, like, okay, the 48 minutes. But it only happened once. I mean, let's be real. Like, they talked about were they video recording for 48 minutes, but they never said if they were or not. They said they were going to go back and check it, but they never confirmed if they...
So they probably
it
didn't.
was. It probably wasn't. So the one phone call was 48 minutes. That was the only thing.
If you're looking for that kind of thing, you're going to find it everywhere.
I completely agree.
I think their problem is they're trying to be really bold and find, the unifying theory of physics. They're trying to find the unifying theory of the paranormal in that everything's real. And it all goes back to one source or something, which seems to be in a cave, apparently. But, like Bigfoot, aliens, UFOs, ghosts, spirits, spirit box, all the same thing. And to me, that's a reach. Because you're going to prove nothing doing that. You're going to look at everything and say, oh, it might be that. Oh, it might be that. Oh, look, that's the same number as one I saw on my way to work this morning. Must mean something.
Right.
No,
Now, I think they had a good approach to... I mean, they definitely hooked me on their first episode. I thought it was really interesting, and it made me more curious about this goblin case. And I think that was kind of what the purpose was, to kind of tell the story. And then really all they're doing is going back and reinvestigating it.
There's a couple of ways that they filmed it too that threw a flag up for me, in that you never see anyone they're interviewing.
Right.
They never interview anybody on camera. And also the silly camera shots of them peeking up from the door and going back down again when they're in the car as if it's some kind of... What are you doing?
Yeah.
If that's an artistic flair, fine. You've just become the new Blair Witch. What are you doing? That's not a documentary. That's a, an artsy film piece.
Right.
Well, I did think it was relatively weird that the first time they went, when it was just Dana and Greg went, that she, had to hide in the car, and that's where you got the, the camera comes up for a second, then goes away.
No, they did it. Yeah, they did it a couple of times.
And I was just like, get out of the damn car. Like, I mean, these are just people. Like,
yeah. And also the guy, careful who you trust.
Well,
come on, that was so set up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and she was so apprehensive at first, and then the second visit, that's when that guy told them to be careful. So, Greg recently tweeted that after watching season 2, he can't imagine how anybody's going to watch Paranormal TV the same way again. That kind of got me thinking.
Unless they
in a
got
good way or a bad way,
right?
Unless they sat down and had a conversation with one of these goblins.
Well, that got me thinking about the reality of this situation, and so I reached out to some people who actually know Greg and Dana better than we do, and the people I spoke to, who, like I said, know these two, have not watched the episodes because they are pretty positive that it is 100% fictional, being recorded much like Blair Witch to appear to be an actual documentary. So I think I can probably get behind that. Not just because they said that, because I was already thinking that. It's just nice to kind of have that, somebody else have that kind of same opinion. Now, they talk a lot about the
I
Mothman.
had the same opinion. That's not good enough.
I was hoping
Johnny don't
somebody...
believe in anything.
Well, I was hoping somebody else would think that it was legit, and then maybe it would be me that was wrong. They do talk a lot about the Mothman prophecy, so I'm sure that somehow this is going to end up tying into Point Pleasant somehow. But...
Well, they said it already does.
Right.
According to them. It's a cycle of things that happens every so many, and it's going to go... Let us know when you wake up.
Right. So, A&E had a series, I don't remember what it was called, but basically it was a gentleman who is supposed to be related to the Bell family, which was involved with the Bell Witch situation, and he went and investigated the case. And then the History Channel had H.H. Holmes' grandson or great-grandson, I probably would have been great-grandson, or maybe even 2 greats. Anyway, they did a series where he went and looked back at H.H. Holmes' case and then tried to decide if he was really in his grave or not. But Hellier kind of reminds me of these two, where just like any other reality TV, it's scripted, but it's made to look like this is all just happening spur of the moment. It's just popping up, and we're getting all these leads, even though they already know where everything's going. And I think Hellier is kind of like that.
If you think about that, though, they've got it in a format that's kind of clever. I just wish they could script it better, but if you think about it, by using the unified paranormal theory, you're going to get people that are into UFOs watching it. You're going to get ghost hunters watching it. You're going to get Bigfoot people watching it.
Yeah.
You're going to get all kinds of people watching it. They're pulling all of them, like I said before, there's all tree branches in the beliefs. They're trying to grab all of it in onto one documentary. The trouble is, that's where it fails, because they're sitting there, I'm like, what are you actually chasing, using a spirit box to catch an alien?
Well, exactly. I mean, yeah, the goblins came from UFO. They've basically talked about kind of the Men in Black theory. They're doing all sorts of paranormal stuff with it.
Right, but then they also talked about them living in the caves.
Right.
So they're cryptozoology on top of.
Yep. Oh, by the way, I sent you a link. That big UFO that they reported that everybody watched for hours, that was a Google balloon.
Yeah.
Google owned up to it. They said, no, that was one of their balloons. They were counting on UFO spotters to tell them where the balloon went because they lost it.
Because they lost it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, good.
And I'll put that on our Facebook and Twitter because it was very interesting. And yeah, when you sent it to me, I couldn't
believe that something like that had happened and it wasn't on the TV or, a bigger fuss made of it.
Right.
And I was like, I'm going to look that up, because if that really was in the newspaper, and it was, but the newspaper also said it was a Google balloon.
Yeah.
Which they conveniently left out.
Oh, people are going to be pouring to Hellier in all parts of Kentucky now.
And I wish them luck. Sell souvenirs.
Right.
Sell goblins.
Oh, my God.
Goblins. No.
Yeah.
Oh, there's you
goblins.
know there's going to be a goblin shop there.
Hellier is going to become the new Point Pleasant, I'm sure. So I think they're successful in what they're doing. Unfortunately, I don't think they're honest in what they're doing. Which, I mean, they've, I guess, never said this is our true, experience. They're just presenting it that way.
Isn't that?
Did they ever say it though? So later they can come back and say we.
So if I make a history film and I change history, I didn't say it's true history. It's just a history film. Oh, come on, that's a little. No.
But it gives them that opening, does it not?
No, not with me, no. I'm sorry, I'm old and cranky. It's like, if you're going to use words, use them properly. Documentaries, you're documenting something that really happened. Not, otherwise everything's a documentary.
Well,
Wizard of Oz was a documentary of how she went to the...
Let me say this, though. They are documenting things that happened. Just not necessarily real things that happened. I mean, they're documenting things that happened to them, but it's fake things that happened to them.
Then it's not documenting anything, it's fictional.
Well, have you watched the teaser for season 2?
Yes, I did.
No, I haven't.
Well, David pops up again. I don't know if it's Terry or David. I guess they don't say. The emails start again. So it's either Terry Wrist.
It's really convenient that they pop up again.
Terry Wrist or David Christie. One of them are back with their emails.
It's fine. As long as people take it as fiction, I got nothing against it.
I agree with you, though. I do think it was funny that they waited so long to look at the IP address. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's just not something that, maybe they're just not digitally inclined and didn't think about that. I don't know. I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt.
They're supposed to be researchers, and you can't be a researcher anymore without being digitally inclined.
Well, that's probably true. But when you're just presenting people with sexy things and, exciting things, then sometimes you don't look for the truth in things.
They need to read my book on objectivity.
We can send them a copy.
We can definitely send them a copy.
See, that's the kind of thing that winds me up. It's like, wow!
Now, so our topic today, though, is about how, movies and TV have dictated how we view and how we research the paranormal. One thing that I think that you're going to start seeing a lot of people doing, and they've already started, but I think it's really going to take off even more, is the Estes method that they were using with the ghost box. So basically what you do is you take your ghost box and connect it to a digital voice recorder and then plug your headphones in, the communicator, I guess, if you will, wears the headphones and ideally is blindfolded or has their eyes closed so that they cannot know what is being asked and what we're looking for through the ghost box. The reason it's called the Estes method is because reportedly this group, or some of this group, were the first people to use this at the Stanley Hotel. And actually that's incorrect because people were doing this method before that, but they've taken it and rolled with it, and now people are referring it to as the Estes method. Anyway, I think you're going to start seeing a lot of people doing that. I will say we have sort of tried it.
Yeah, we do it. It's hard. I will be honest with you. That is hard to do.
Chandra had the headphones on when we did it, and unfortunately we didn't think ahead to bring the right cords to get everything plugged into a digital voice recorder, so we had to take her word for it. But I will say that what she was giving us was pretty interesting based on what we were doing. Now, Paranormal Study is a website that I've kind of started paying attention to a little bit more. Tim Woolworth is the, I guess, founder of it. And he also runs ITC Voices. And he talks about the downside of the Estes method and how it really limits you on putting all your puzzle pieces together because only one person's getting the ghost box, and only one person, and only, who's on the outside of that is hearing what's going on around you. And there could be pieces where everything needs to be heard together to really make it make sense.
Yeah, the other thing is, I like the fact that it cuts out the audio pareidolia, where you're hearing squelches and you think, oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You've got one person interpreting it, and it doesn't matter because they're not hearing the questions. I love that aspect of it. But if you actually sit and try and do it, I did it, we did it for Farrar, and I think we've done it at the Granger House. But especially with the modern SB7, it's like the whole time, and you're trying to hear bits, and by the time you figured it out in your head, oh, that was a word, you've missed 3 or 4 other things. So at least in the post investigative, you can roll back and listen to it again, roll back and say, oh yeah, that was that word, or I think it was that word.
Well,
when you're doing it live, it's like you got no chance of getting everything out.
Yeah, that was another point he made. A lot of the times, the meat of a ghost box session really comes out in your review of it instead of live. The other problem that we have kind of encountered, and I'm sure everybody else has too, is that sometimes when you're sitting right on top of the ghost box, you don't hear it as well as somebody who might be a little ways away from it. So I think, now I've never been the one with the headphones on, so I can't speak to, I would imagine though.
I think it's definitely useful. Just, short bits of time periodically, maybe get some dialogue going, and then maybe,
I just don't think it should be your sole.
No, absolutely not. But I don't know that anything should be your sole.
It's a yardstick
Piece of equipment.
Yeah, I think.
I do see people posting now about how it's dangerous to do the Estes method.
Why?
Oh, I know why.
Because
your friends just bugger off and leave you sitting there. Just in a dark room with a blindfold, you can't hear anything on your own.
Somebody likened it to their belief of a Ouija board.
Yeah.
That you're opening yourself up to something that you don't know what it is. And so, basically...
But I know what frequency modulation is.
I just thought that was humorous when I saw somebody write that. I was like,
but that goes back to my thing of now there's a narrative about it, and that narrative is now going to grow.
Right.
Right. And that's why I'm like, come on.
And at some point, somebody's going to ask me, oh, do you do the Estes method? And yeah, sometimes we've done it. Oh, that's dangerous. Yep. I guarantee it's going to happen at some point.
Yep.
Well, that's a good leeway in, because one of the, I think, most impacted things that we've gotten from movie, would be the Ouija board from the movie The Exorcist.
Ouija.
You two are too much.
Ouija.
Okay. In 1973, The Exorcist shocked people when it made its debut on the big screen. And with it came probably the biggest downfall of the Ouija board. Because if you've not seen the movie, I don't know why, because you're like the literally only person on the planet who hasn't. But basically, the premise behind it is that Reagan, who's the main character, and her aunt were using the Ouija board, and through it, she ended up becoming...
Captain Howdy came through.
Right. She ended up becoming possessed, which is why she needed the exorcist.
Which also influenced Twisted Sister to make a song of the same name.
Did they?
Yep.
I'm unfamiliar with that song. Would you like to sing it for us?
No.
Okay.
Let's say I did and not do it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, we kind of touched on it before, that prior to this movie, the Ouija board did not have the stigma that it carries today. And, 1973, that reputation has stuck hard with those boards.
Yep.
Now, you've got your one camp who will tell you it's just a piece of cardboard, and you've got your other camp that will tell you that it is a gateway to hell.
I think that's a little overdoing it.
Well,
as far as the dramatic goes.
I can tell you that I was one of those people. I've always loved Ouija boards, and I've used them for decoration more than anything. This summer, when we were at the Haunted America conference and listened to, what's her name, Karen Dahlman, talk about her experience with the Ouija board, and she's actually part of the Historical Society for the Talking Board. It kind of brought me down to earth a little bit. Part of my problem with it was, when you're using it, you're opening yourself up and letting just about anything use your energy in order to communicate. And we don't always have the ability to dictate who can use your energy and who can't. Now, she talked about intention, and if you have the intention of having a positive, I guess, conversation with somebody, then you're more likely to have, what you're looking for. I guess your intention kind of becomes your psychic protection at that point. But it did kind of bring me down to earth a little bit about, people use these boards for a long time prior to this movie. And I wasn't even thinking this movie, but prior to today.
They use the planchettes longer than they've been using the board.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and spirit writing was huge. And there's still people who do it today. And there's people who...
Ooh. I'm going to get a spirit keyboard.
There you go.
That's spirit writing, but they can hit the keys instead of trying to read that scribble that ended up on the paper.
Exactly. You need to build that. And there are psychic mediums who... A psychic medium would let somebody actually come into them and speak through them, much like Whoopi Goldberg's character in the movie Ghost. But people have been doing these things for a really long time, and until we had the influences from movie...
Sorry. I was going to say, yeah, but there's been a lot of women that have let Patrick Swayze inside of them.
Dude, seriously?
You need to edit that bit out.
Nope, it's staying out. You're going to let the world know what you're really like.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to get black helicopters over my house now.
You probably
Take it
are.
away.
Mad women at your door.
Why?
Oh, Patrick's dead. Let's respect the man.
Alright, yes. Patrick died a virgin. Sorry if I burst anyone's bubble.
Anyway. Good Christ. It really does, I encourage people to really think about how much TV, how much movie, how much, books and stuff dictate how we think about things. And this is a prime example.
It becomes part of the narration, and it's a very big platform for doing so. I mean, anybody who's listened long enough know that I come across as a skeptic. I know you don't like that word, but that's the label people like me get. I'm not. I
just think it's become an overused
word.
word. I would say that you are appropriately using that title. I think there's too many people who inappropriately use it because it's the word to call yourself these days.
I think I've quoted this before, but Terry Pratchett said if you have an open mind, people keep wanting to put things in it. So, you have to stop and think and go, how does that work? That kind of thing. So, my idea was, okay, Ouija boards, if they work, we never had demons rampaging around the world up till 1973 when suddenly Ouija boards gain that ability of letting demons in. And then also depends on, for example, The Exorcist was a religious film. It was a Christian demon. If you're not Christian, how do you get a Christian demon? Because, you know, I can't let one in because I don't believe in them. So that's my defense.
It was Christian in that a Catholic priest exorcised it. Is what you're saying?
And it was a Catholic demon. I mean, Catholic Christianity, it was a demon.
Well, it came from where did the movie
Africa,
start?
Pazuzu.
Okay.
Pazuzu was the demon.
Right.
Because I saw the
I
second
just
episode
remember.
and read the book. And bought the special edition Ouija board.
Oh my.
Oh, that's what I need to do.
Super fan.
I'm gonna make a special edition Exorcist special edition Ouija board. Battery operated.
Battery operated.
Before we go too far, battery operated.
What?
You went there.
I know. Neither
Because you two were going to go
neither
there.
one of us was gonna go there. Neither one of us. Nope.
Nope. You
Don't
can't
look at
prove
me.
it without a
Serious.
Ouija board.
I was not gonna go
Christ.
anything with batteries. It wasn't gonna happen.
No, I
Zero
just meant
people
I was
believe
going to
you.
put a pump in there so it sprays green soup at you. That's where I was going with that.
Yep.
See?
Mhm.
Innocent angels, once again.
Yeah.
These two.
God, dirty-minded.
I know. No wonder this show goes the way it does.
I know.
Whatever.
We're trying to be all serious, and look at what you did.
Oh my.
Derailed the show again. How did it feel? Think about what you just did.
That's all right. Edit. Anyways.
The one thing that is kind of, I don't know, but Ouija boards are expensive as hell now. Like if you get on eBay or any other selling platform, people are selling their boards for ridiculous amounts. And it's not even like the wood ones, like the really old ones. It's the ones from the 80s that you can't get now for less than $80. Like that's stupid.
You know what I have seen though? There are some artists that are actually making really, really nice Ouija boards out. You know, they're all inlaid with different designs.
Yeah.
Some of them are just works of art, and yeah, they're going for like $800. But I'd actually pay, if I was rich enough, I'd pay $800 for the work that went into something
Well,
like that.
I can tell you, the one above your head that's from the 40s.
I thought that's the one I made.
Okay, the other one.
Oh,
the one
the
above
one above.
the one that
Oh, okay.
one you made. I think I paid $20 for that, and I probably got it from somebody who doesn't really buy into the paranormal. This wood one that looks like it's been through hell and back, I think I got for about the same price because a guy found it under the floor in a closet, and he doesn't buy into the paranormal stuff. But if you buy those from anybody who does buy into that stuff, the price goes up so drastically. It's ridiculous. You can buy, now I hate the new ones because they're small and they're cheap looking, but they're $15 at Target. But somebody owned that for 3 minutes, automatically $50 or more.
And you have to, I mean, think about it. Someone who does buy into the paranormal and believes you are going to get demons sells a Ouija board. They can't really believe it that much as they're willing to swap that for money. Here, go have a demon.
Oh, it's just
Give
like
me
the
money.
amount of people on eBay. Like, if you search haunted items...
Oh, yeah, there's tons of them.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Holy Christ.
Yeah.
Well...
Dolls after Annabelle. Let's be honest. As we're talking about movies and stuff.
Yeah, that's...
I mean, haunted dolls.
Well,
now.
that movie was inspired by a story, which is... We'll get to that in a minute. But yes, keep going. You're fine.
Well, yeah, I mean... And then...
Dybbuk boxes.
Dybbuk boxes because of the movie The Possession.
Yep.
Which also was based off somebody's story. But
Right.
Who you can come and hear the real story at the Granger House on
October 19th.
Nope, 18th.
No, 18th. October 18th.
Yeah, if you come on 19th, be late.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. No one will be there.
You never know. Granger House, there's always someone there.
Well, that's true.
I won't be there.
I
So
do
it's not going
think
to be
that
as
there
much
is a
fun.
private investigation that night, so you'll probably be running into them. But yeah, the amount of... And what kills me is the people who really want to sell their haunted items on eBay, and it's always people who have had these items and they're bringing such hell to their family and to their house, but they're selling it for a premium on eBay.
That's why, yeah, that's
I'm gonna send it to the next
You really
sucker.
believe in it, you're not going to sell it, you know.
Just kills me.
Human nature is a wonderful thing.
Well, we talked about, with the Ouija board, I was talking to a friend of mine who also psychic at one of the expos that I was at this summer, and she and I were actually talking about the Ouija boards and how I've kind of changed my view on it and actually want to start using them again. And we were talking about psychic protection, and I told her that was a concern of mine because people ask you all the time now, what are you doing for psychic protection? What are you doing when you go investigating for psychic protection? It's made all of us feel like we have to be doing something. But she said to me, why? Why do you have to do that? Because up until the last few years, nobody was doing that. And now all of a sudden everybody makes you feel like you have to be doing something for it. That if you're not, you're just opening yourself up to whatever. And and I have usually just said, I'm a Christian. I just, give a shout out to God. Hey, keep me safe today. But I don't think that's any different than anything that I do every other day. Let me get through this one too. But I always kind of felt like I wasn't doing enough. And you've got people who are stuffing their pockets full of crystals. You've got people who are using all kinds of oils. And don't get me wrong, because as we sit in this office, there are crystals around you. There's oils that Adam's putting on him that shouldn't be on him.
Oh yeah,
Wait a minute.
That was a fun night, wasn't it?
There we go, somewhere we shouldn't, and I don't want to be in the room anymore.
There was no batteries involved, so it's fine.
Good Christ!
What? You started it. I just had to keep
My
going.
God. So
That's
there's
probably what you were saying, no batteries.
essential oils in my office that my husband put on that were not for...
They must be essential, though.
They were for diffuser, not for body. Anyway.
Anyways. I didn't know.
I'm getting really uncomfortable here.
So, obviously,
Did you use protection?
I'm about to walk out this office.
No.
Shay, help me!
I know what it was. Your protection was, oh God, help me through this. Sorry.
I held a crystal.
You two just let me know when you're done.
I think we might be done.
Oh, come on, you gotta enjoy the moment sometimes.
Anyway, so my office is, kind of the paranormal cliche. So with the crystals, we've got the oils in here. I've got rosaries in here. I've got all kinds of shit in here that, goes right along with every stereotype of paranormal that you've ever heard.
I got lots of spirits in my bar.
You do?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which is where our investigation ends, usually.
Right. But, Kip made me realize that people weren't using psychic protection up until recently. And it's the same thing for the Ouija board. We, like you said, we come up with these narratives and they just become facts. And then, I've been on several paranormal panels with some of the expos that I've done, and almost every single time somebody asks about what are you doing for psychic protection. And I always feel like I have to give a better answer than, what I do, but I honestly, we don't do a group prayer before or after. We don't smudge each other before or after. I don't know where all this, comes from. It just, pops up.
It's folklore. I mean, I'm sorry, that's my view.
No, it really is.
It's folklore.
It really is.
It's the same as smudging. I mean, lots of people do it, lots of people believe in it, that's great. So,
Well,
and they're burning...
It's a Native American tradition.
It's not, though. Not the way they do it. What are they burning?
Well, it's stemming from, I should say.
Yes.
It is
So
stemming from a
what-
Native American tradition.
What is it they're burning?
Who? People?
People that smudge.
Well, you can do
Sage.
sweetgrass, you can do sage, you can do holy wood.
So, what makes the wood holy? Is it blessed?
It's Palo Santo. It's supposed to be...
Smells good as hell, though.
Yeah, it does.
Take a sniff.
It's way better.
Smell my wood!
Wow.
There's one mention of batteries that she just goes nutty.
I know, right?
can't
I
smell
was
it.
just beating you two to the punch.
I wasn't going to say
I
a
wasn't
word.
going there. This is it. This is just all subliminal. This is not good. No, but I mean, here's the thing. Every tribe, when I look back on how they did it, every tribe had their own different bundle of mixtures.
For sure.
and every tribe had a different one. So what they think they're doing with smudging, I have no idea, because it's not the same thing. And then, of course, me being me, how does that actually change anything, having some smoke in the air? I mean, I can smudge with a Marlboro, basically. No, it's true.
It's true. Well,
I mean, the Catholic Church has incense.
Well.
You know?
My God, I'm just like, everything we talk about, I look around my office right in front of us.
You haven't got any Marlboros?
No, we have Wild Horse.
Oh yeah, those are mine though.
I mean, Dana uses tobacco for a lot of her rituals, so really, is that any different?
That's what I'm saying. Why can't I smudge with a Marlboro? In which case, I have the most pure spirit in the world, the man I smoke. So.
Well, another movie that I think has really influenced us is Amityville in a lot of different ways. Now, Amityville and The Exorcist both brought demons to kind of the forefront, and they've stuck with us ever since. Possession. You know, Amityville made us believe that houses could be possessed, which I don't know that was really...
And contain a portal. Had a portal.
Really?
Yep, under the stairs. You fell in, it was full of blood.
That red room or whatever?
Yep.
Gotcha.
That was the portal.
I'm like sitting here.
I remember that bit.
But I don't know that... I'm not saying people didn't talk about these things, but I don't know that they were as strong. Now, Amityville came out not terribly long after The Exorcist. I mean, within 10 years.
Oh, yeah, it was pretty close behind. Which, go figure.
Right. So, you know, with Amityville now, people expect poltergeist activity to look like the Amityville movies. And...
Well, and there was a movie Poltergeist.
There was.
Which, you know, they had ghost hunters there talking about, I saw this thing move 3 inches over 2 days. And he says, really, it opens the door and everything's flying. But, you know, so now all of a sudden, if you really did see something moving 3 inches over 2 days on a camera with no outside force...
That's pretty significant.
You know, not if you've seen that movie, then you're just a nerd going, that's nothing. You know.
The one thing about the movie Poltergeist, though, and granted, this was from, obviously, the 80s, and back in the 80s, most of the people who were doing investigations like that were from universities, but they, for the most part, until we got the little woman involved, were taking a relatively scientific approach to things. And how far off beat we've gotten.
I mean, it's always been a duality. It swings, it's like a pendulum. It swings. So, I mean, like I said, when I was doing research in my book, when the spiritualist movement happened, then a lot of the scientists that believed in it or didn't believe in it would either go out to try and support it or try and go out and debunk it. But that's where we got the societies that came out, and, you know, and they'd try and do it scientifically. Enough spiritualists got debunked where the belief went more, and then it just swings back and forth. You know, and I think now we're at a point where, I mean, honestly, most of the yes camp are spiritualists. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying it's belief and not anything else. So, and that's why the narratives get so intense, convoluted, and film now is the medium, and TV. You know, with all the ghost hunter shows. I mean, they're just running a narrative. They're not really ghost hunting, most of them. So.
You don't think at all?
No.
How's that?
Why would they have to do it on TV?
Well, I don't think they feel like they have to do it on TV.
Didn't he say on the new, that's why I came back? Not, I've been doing it the whole time, you haven't had a TV camera on me.
I don't know how much Grant did it, though.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it was just because he wasn't on TV. I think it was because he was taking time for his family.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. He did say when
he... my family, they still won't go. What is that? He got locked in the house with his family, his whole life between the shows?
No, his kids were... What he said at the beginning was that his kids were younger and that he realized he needed to be there for his kids and do that.
I understand that, but my point is, he can still ghost hunt. What he can't do is take all that time to make the TV show.
But we're making a supposition that he never went, and I don't think that's true either, because I think he did take part in a lot of public events.
Which isn't ghost hunting.
But that doesn't mean he wasn't while he was doing those things.
Doesn't mean he was either. I'm sorry.
I think you're wrong.
I'm skeptical, and I may be.
I don't think at any point he indicated that he can only do it if it's on TV.
I mean, how many times does Mr. Baggins go ghost hunting?
We don't give a
He
shit.
is not.
Well,
I'm just saying, we don't
He
care.
does it.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Well,
is
and
all
you know-
these do it just for the show. They're not really ghost hunting.
I can't say that he doesn't though, because Bill Chappell, who doesn't believe necessarily that what we're talking to is ghosts, but he is devising equipment that he believes may help us communicate with whatever it is we're communicating with, and really all Ghost Adventures is doing is testing that equipment and making jackasses of themselves.
So they're not really testing it that well, then.
Well, they're idiots.
So why would you give your instruments to idiots? Can you test this?
Because
for me?
they are giving
they
him a
have
hella paycheck.
Yeah,
Yes,
because
they
they
have.
have a TV
Yep.
show, and
Once
they're
again, it
giving
comes
him a
back
ton
to
of
money. So all these people aren't really ghost hunting.
But
to try and find
let's go
objective
back
truth.
to episode 1 of Ghost Hunters Reboot. I don't see anything in there that wasn't what we would consider ghost hunting. They
No, but there was a lot of
debunked shit that was bogus.
Yeah.
They did vigils the same way we would do vigils.
Mhm.
How is that not ghost hunting?
It is. But I guess my point is that okay, so when they're going to drain the energy. Well, how's that a given? And then what's the difference between discharging and draining? And
I
all
did
that
reach
stuff?
out to Grant on both Facebook and Twitter
Mhm.
to see if he would respond and explain that more. I've not gotten a response from him yet. I don't know that I ever will, but it'd be really awesome.
And then the one in New York, when they're in that big house, they were spinning a narrative with absolutely, really
I didn't watch it one, so I can't comment on that one.
very, I think, very dodgy foundation on. So they were building a narrative, and that's what they do. If you watch, okay, yes, they use, the same stuff that we use when we ghost hunting, and this is what most modern people do when they go ghost hunting now, is build a narrative, but you have to have a point in a storyline. If you're putting a story together, there are certain points in that story you have to put together, and a lot of them, that point is their K2 meter going off, or this happening, or that. Those are points, and then they'll make up the narrative from point to point to point.
So how is what you're doing different?
It isn't. But what I admit it. I admit it fine. But what I'm trying not to do is build a narrative.
Yeah.
And if they just gained data points and said, okay, we think this is how things are working, but they don't. Because they're doing a TV show, I guess is the point. It's if you do a proper ghost hunt and be objective about it and just gather data, no one's going to watch that. And I know, because our first couple of YouTube videos, that's what we did. Nobody watched them. So, because they were long and they were boring, I get it. I couldn't even watch them twice. So, I guess, and it's not a problem. I mean, people enjoy ghost hunting. It's a hobby. They do it. But, to say that anybody on TV is a real ghost hunter, I can't go with that. They're there to make a TV program. That's their niche.
But I think
And
that
that's how they build their story.
I'll defend Taps for a second. They were doing this before they had a TV show. Now,
Yes,
I
they
don't
were.
know them, so I don't know how things have changed from being on TV versus not being on TV.
They've always been my favourite team. And yes, they were. And then they did TV. I'm not sure I'd be the same if I had to do a ghost hunt for a TV audience every time I did one.
And I'm not saying they're perfect, and there are things on those shows that make me just smack my forehead, seriously. But I think they're an example of some good things and some bad things.
They are.
The other one, God damn it, what's the show the Wraith Chasers were on?
Tennessee. Well,
That's their name.
that was
Anyway,
Haunted Asylum.
Yeah.
Something.
I
Ghost
liked
Asylum or
that
something.
group because I felt like and they're still a group, but I liked that show because I felt like they took a different approach to actually investigating stuff. It sounds silly to say that they were making traps to try to catch ghosts, but they were at least putting new ideas out there and trying new things. I really liked that.
I do too. And that, to me, so I sent you a link. I just bought, there's a film that you can buy.
Yes.
And if you put it over a magnet, it will actually show you the magnetic field. You know, like when you put iron filings on paper when you're a kid?
Oh, so you... Yes, that's the thing I've been trying to find. I didn't know what they were called.
Yeah,
From like when
so-
I was the 70s.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
but this is a piece of, I think it's black or green, I can't remember. No, it's green, and it goes black when there's a magnetic
you don't-
wave.
Because he
So-
was going to put shavings in water in a bottle.
Now, so I got this.
No,
So
I
I'm
liked
gonna-
my idea.
I'm sorry. No, I mean, it's a good idea.
No, kiss my
I was
ass.
just, my brain was just going, and I was trying to get out my thing. If we put this down in a doorway, and
Yeah.
it changes colour, you know a magnetic
How much
force.
is that stuff?
Oh, I think it's like,
Like affordable or
oh
ridiculous?
yeah, it's like
Yeah,
12
because
bucks for 6
you actually sent me the link on Amazon, so
Yeah.
it's still on my like Amazon thing.
But I haven't played with it yet, so I don't know how well it does it. I mean, whether you're going to have a fat ghost go over it to make it show, or
But I felt
Yeah,
like
$13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like the Wraith Chasers kind of, when they first got started, they were still experimenting with stuff like that. And like, I think that they even put powder down in an episode or two, which
Yeah.
is something I've always wanted to do and pray
Not
that it
allowed to.
works. But
Not
people
allowed
walk
to.
through it.
you're not allowed to in a lot of places.
Well, that's true.
I could
And-
do it in the Granger house, but I have a feeling I'd get in a lot of trouble.
Probably.
Yeesh.
But
But
you know, that's what Harry Price was doing, and that is kind of the grandfather of paranormal investigating today.
What else I enjoyed about what was that kid's name? Brendan?
Mhm.
Wasn't that his name?
We
He-
talk like they're dead.
Well, I know, but it's just because they're not on.
Maybe they are, you know?
No, I don't.
Yes, because they have a new show that's called
Not a clue.
Haunted Towns or something.
Yeah,
I
something
don't
like
know.
that. But anyways, I like the fact that he always explained his idea behind his trap, quote unquote trap. You know, he explained his theory, his idea, his purpose. And that's kind of what you've always said. Like, it'd be nice if they would explain, when they talk about the equipment, explain what it is. And I
Why
like,
they're using it.
right,
What is it they're trying to tell
right.
us?
What
Yeah,
is your
I
purpose?
really liked what they had going. I thought they were doing a really good job.
Yeah, Jeff watches them.
But yeah, and so now whatever that, what'd you say, Haunted Asylum?
Yeah, something.
Whatever.
Like
And now they've moved on to not doing that kind of stuff anymore, because I'm sure people got tired of them never catching anything, but that's part of, I think, the best part of the show.
Yeah, like I said, if you do it properly, it's really boring TV.
Yeah.
Because you don't catch hardly anything, most places or most nights even. You know, you've got to really dig for it.
Right. So, one movie that I think has kind of dictated the equipment that we use is Ghostbusters.
Which is a really sad statement if you think about it. But I'm going to agree with you because a lot of it doesn't have to look like Ghostbusters. You had us test that one thing with the two arms coming out and a bit of string across them. And I looked at them like, it looks like Ghostbusters
Right?
equipment. And that's its selling point because it really doesn't do
The
anything. Yeah.
static detector from Paranologies.
Yeah, it wasn't.
It definitely. I mean, that's definitely
It's
true.
not quite as colorful
Yeah.
because it's printed with a 3D printer, so it's black and white. But
No, but I'm sure the shape of it isn't by accident the same as in Ghost Hunters. Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters. Yeah.
Something. There's so many of them.
But I think some of our theories have even come from that movie. Now, that movie was not just, like, made, just for comedic relief. Like, Dan Aykroyd is really big into the paranormal field, and he was a writer for that. So, he did put some of his information into the movie, although it is largely a comedy. But it's not all.
It's also made for the general public, not
It
just
is.
for Ghost Hunters.
It is.
So,
But that movie, I think, is how a lot of people view our field.
yeah, okay. Actually, how often does Jeff or one of us say when we're, don't cross the streams? You know,
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of statements that come out during investigations that probably come from the Ghostbusters movies. I have no doubt.
In fact, I think when I got something, it felt like something run through me when I was on my own in Farrar, and I was like, I'm going back to the safe room. When I walked in, I think the first word I said was, something slimed me. So, yeah, I'm sure it's it's got its hooks in there pretty good. But yeah, and then when I tell people I'm a ghost hunter, they're like, "Diddle-diddle-diddle."
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And now everybody expects that to be like your favorite movie ever.
Yeah.
Which I like it. It's just not my very favorite ever.
Actually, we're looking at, or I am. It's not going to be anytime soon, but eventually we're going to buy an ambulance and put all our stuff in the ambulance, and then I got the foil kit, so I'm going to do it up to look like a Ghostbusters
See?
thing. Just, hey, image.
It is. It is. So I've got one more movie that I think is a little crazy, but I think it has influenced some of us, and that is Nightmare on Elm Street. We talked last time, or in episode 8, I can't remember which one, about the potential for having a more psychically open mind during sleep. But today, when I was thinking about what movies have kind of dictated my beliefs, I started thinking about that movie, and what if that comes from that, and maybe that movie is based on the same premise of your mind being more open, but it's all kind of the same thing.
Well, I was watching a British show, it's called QI, which is really good. They just sit around, it's usually a couple of comedians, but then they come up with questions, the QI means quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really weird questions like, how many moons does the Earth have? Of course, everyone's like, 1. No, they've got Quithny, and so, it could be that the Earth has lots of moons. Anyway, that's the kind of stuff they do. And one of the questions was, what's the most mysterious thing you do in bed? And of course, the comedians had a field day with it. The answer was sleep.
As I'm sure you two would.
Oh. See, once again,
I know, you just open the door
we didn't
for
do a thing.
so many things that could have came out of my mouth, but they weren't going to.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was gonna keep my mouth shut and just
So
roll.
innocent.
Right. Always, always, always instigator. That's what it is.
The answer was sleep, because scientists still don't know what the benefits of sleep are evolutionary to counteract the fact that we're just laying there paralyzed for 8 hours, prey to anything that comes along. So whatever the benefit of sleep is has to outweigh, shutting us down for 8 hours when we're prone to anything. So,
But, I mean,
why do we sleep? That's the
so
question.
Freddy Krueger can come and kill us. I'm pretty positive that is the reason right there.
No.
No.
Besides that glove was the stupidest weapon ever. I mean, think about that.
Freddy Krueger was probably the scariest, when I was growing up, the scariest of the big movies.
No.
Exorcist for me.
Jason and Michael did not scare me nearly
Chucky.
as much as Freddy
Chucky.
did.
Chucky scared the
Well,
shit
play.
out of me.
You want to play?
Yes, I watched so many scary movies with my dad. Chucky scared the shit out of me every time.
You don't actually put the wind up me, which I really love.
Put
These
the
kind
wind
of films.
up me.
Put the wind up me. Yeah.
Tell me about that.
What's it? Paranormal. What's it? Paranormal. It's just a haunted house. It starts so slow. All of these movies start so slow.
Paranormal Activity?
Yeah.
Yeah!
That
Oh my
scared
god!
the crap
We
out of me.
went and saw that in the theater. It was by far the best movie theater experience I've ever had in my life. You talking no seats available. Like, it is sold out in there. Everybody, it's just like when they film for the previews, they film the people watching the movie. It was literally just like that. I mean, everybody is like, oh! And like yelling at the appropriate places, and everybody's jumping together, and at the very end, some guy like stands up, and it's still dark because the movie's just finished. She's like, fuck this fucking movie! And he runs out.
I just lost it.
Oh my god,
That
it was
hilarious.
the funniest shit ever.
But it's movies like that build are the ones that actually scare me.
Thought they were excellent.
Yeah,
It got carried away.
No, once you've done one, it's kind of like...
Because there
the
were like,
second
what,
one's kind
4
of
or
good.
5? I don't
I
know.
think there's like 7.
But
a lot of people didn't like them because they were boring. And I think
oh
the
my
movies
god,
they
the
did
first
after
one
that-
was great.
Was it the one that had like the ash footprints and...
Yes.
Yeah, that just creeped me the hell out. Well, imagine, because you kind of emphasize being... Well, empathize. Empathy? Yeah, empathize.
Yes.
Yeah. Being in it. So if you woke up in the morning, opened the door, and Oh!
Because
hell
that
no.
picture had burnt in her house, and then she found that, and she found the footprint. Yeah, that's...
Well, and they did the powder thing. I mean, they did a lot of low-tech things, but then, I mean, so yeah, it was...
So that's kind of a good ghost hunting movie, actually, because they do the tech, the cameras, and the you know...
And he did the, like I said, he did the powder, and he did...
Movie said, careful what you wish for. You want all this stuff to work, this is what happens when it does work.
Yeah. And them just standing, well, was it her just standing next to the bed for hours in the middle of the night? Oh, that's fucking creepy as shit.
So that's creepy because it happens during sleep, and we don't know what happens during sleep. It's like, you know, it's the same as we talked about it before, the possession of
Emily Rose.
When the boyfriend wakes up and she's next to him, like, all contorted and just staring at him. It's like, how long have you been doing that? I was asleep and helpless while that was happening.
Right.
You know, so,
we'll have to talk about Annalise Michael in an upcoming episode. Well, there's several cases that I would like to talk about, and that is one of them because it's really interesting. And it's a good one to debate.
Well,
and Emily Rose, the exorcism of Emily Rose...
Oh, we're talking about possession?
Well, I'm just saying, and that movie actually stuck to the case relatively well.
Well, I mean...
Interesting.
That's the problem with, you know, the paranormal, because it's not objective, there's no proof. I mean, you say, well, I had to chop their head off because they were possessed and going to kill 20 people. Well, if you can't prove that, you're going to jail, even if it's true. So, you know, it's kind of sad. That's why if I found someone possessed, I just lock them up in a cupboard.
There is...
Call the cops and say, they're mentally deranged, come and get them.
Well, I mean, one of my favorite movies that is sort of based on real events is Deliver Us from Evil, which is a bunch of Ralph Sarchie cases smushed together into one to make one story. I mean, so it's extremely loosely based on real events. But this woman in it becomes possessed and ends up in a psych ward, and I mean, she is creepy and crazy looking. If you haven't watched that movie, do. The book's amazing as well. I love Ralph Sarchie.
Well, that's the whole thing about the possession ones is, well, The Exorcist, if you remember, was also a slow building movie.
It was.
When you heard the bumps in the attic, and she sends the guy up there to, well, we got rats in the attic. No rats, you know. And the thing that's cool about those kind of things is that they can happen. So, like, 2 days after, I was living in my granddad's house, and I think he did have something in the attic, but there was something moving around in the attic. I'm like, no rats! And I was like 13 or whatever it was. It's like, oh, I don't like this. But those are the kind of movies that I like, where they build, but they start off with things that you kind of hear normally.
Right.
You know, and then when you're done with the movie and the next day, and you're like, oh, that was a good movie, that kind of freaked me out. And then the crap starts happening where you live. That's a good movie.
That's why The Exorcism of Emily Rose got me. Because I woke up that night at like 3:07 or whatever it was, and was like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. And then went back to sleep. But
yeah, a lot of movies got that now. Amityville had that wake up at a certain time.
Yeah.
Rose had it.
Oh, maybe it's Amityville. That's 3:15.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them have got it now. In fact, I see on Facebook, on some of the paranormal channels, people say, I always wake up at 2:18 every morning. Does that mean something?
yeah,
Oh my
you
God.
gotta
Yeah,
pee.
you're insomnious.
My daughter Ryan sent me a thing one time that she had found circulating on like Instagram or something that said, if you wake up in the middle of the night, it's because a ghost is in your room staring at you.
Yeah,
And
I
there's
saw that
people
one.
who like legit
I'm
believe
like,
that shit.
I know. I was like, well, please. This is why I get thrown off of groups when I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Probably need to stop spreading those. I mean, I guess they're funny to a point, but...
That's not even funny. I think the funniest, I don't know if I've said this before, but there's a comedian where they asked him, what are you doing at the moment? He's like, well, I'm practicing to be a ghost. I'm like, why? He's like, I don't want to be crap at it when I'm dead. I'm like, well, how are you practicing? He's like, I stand at the end of strangers' beds staring at them while they're asleep. And if they don't notice me, I throw their lamp across the room.
Alright, well, one, I guess, pair that is accused of taking a lot of cues from the movie The Exorcist is Ed and Lorraine Warren. And I would kind of like to talk about them and some of their cases, either in our next episode or in a soon to upcoming episode, because, you know, like a lot of people, I grew up thinking that they were really knowledgeable on the paranormal, and unfortunately, the more I've educated myself, the more I have found that they were full of baloney.
Money.
It makes me very sad to say that, because I had a lot of respect for them. And I'm not necessarily ready to say that they intentionally lied. I think much like Mr. Moon, they believed what they were saying. I think maybe they were just misguided. But I would like to discuss them and the truth behind some of it. You know, and they've had a lot of movies based on their cases. And the funny thing is that some of these cases, they had really limited, if any, interaction with. So, like The Conjuring 2, which I've not ever seen, but my understanding is based on the Enfield Poltergeist. They made one visit, interviewed people, and left, and the movie will have you believe that they were fully involved in that, and they had hardly any interaction with that case whatsoever.
No, I can't remember the guy's name, but I watched on YouTube a documentary with him. He came from Psychic Research Society.
Society for Psychical Research, and actually they are both deceased now, and so the tapes have just been...
Yeah, had a lot of the tapes...
made available.
And he had some in that documentary that he kept the way he is, and he showed, he put them on the documentary.
The transcripts, I think, from them are now available as well.
Yeah, and there were 2 photographers from the Guardian newspaper that went there, because they said there was nothing there, they needed a fluff piece. They went, and they were photographing stuff, and they said that, the famous photographs, like the ones where it looked like they're jumping, they probably were jumping. But they took photos of things, they said. Yeah.
It's a even today, it's a hotly debated case, and it shocks me the amount of people who call themselves investigators but know nothing about that case.
Mm-hmm. I think that's one of those cases that went 2 ways. I mean, I think something was happening, and I used to live in Enfield, but I think something was happening, but I also think they monetized on it, and because they were not a rich family.
Well, I think a lot of these famous Poltergeist cases, I think, maybe start somewhere real, and then you're talking about kids who want to, keep getting the praise that they're getting from these people who are in the house to study them, and like the attention that they're getting, and so they start making stuff up. And the Warrens actually had a few cases that they were involved with that went very similarly. So I would like to talk about that in either our next episode or an upcoming episode.
Physics says, just the observation of a thing changes the thing.
That is true. Alright, so let's do our photo of the week. And so we are going to go back to Hellier. And so what I've got is 2 different views of, I guess they're 2 different footprints from the same entity. But these were featured in the documentary Hellier. And I'm just curious. It's the 3-toed footprints with no heel. Curious what you 2 think of these.
I don't think they're real.
So one thing that they said in the documentary was Greg said that when he had shown these to people that he knew who were involved with cryptozoology and Bigfoot research, they commented on the ridge detail, which you can kind of see in this, but not very well.
That's by the bottom of the bottle.
It does. But one of them that they did use in the documentary did have more ridge detail than this one. But he was told by the people that it's really hard to fake, and that's why they thought that they were legitimate.
I don't think it'd be that difficult to
Bet I could make one.
To fake at all. Because number one, no heel print like I get, but if the person is running, for instance...
How do you get the 3 toes, though?
Shit, you can tape your middle toes together.
But it's wider.
It's 2 toes taped together.
Okay. I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
I know, I'm just saying.
What do you make of the fact that multiple people have found similar footsteps?
Okay, here's
Footprints,
here's
I
a
should
question. So, all we're seeing is pictures of one footprint. I'd like to see a picture of the tracks themselves.
Yeah.
But you don't see that. And I think the reason being is because they used an object to make that footprint. And you can't make tracks without leaving your own footprints next to it, making that indentation, or it'd be tough to. Unless you tied it to your foot. Some people have been caught doing that too. But I guess they didn't want to spend that much time making
What was
it
that
real.
guy's name? Came with a huge cast of Bigfoot and ended up finding out that he made it himself. That was in like the 80s too.
Well, it's like the
Hillary?
famous-
His last name was Hillary.
I don't remember names. Same as the picture, the colour photo of the guy going through.
Yeah.
They owned up that was a suit they made. Or the Loch Ness Monster. That's a submarine with a plastic head on it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's so much fakery on that stuff.
Let me say this about the footprint. If it is a footprint. I mean, who knows? Maybe this thing's walking on its hands. Because of the way that the show went, is why I say I think it's faked. Because, like I said, the show went really interesting, like, this is different, weird story, it's very strange, but by the end of it, it didn't go anywhere. And that's why I think that the pictures are just faked. So that's my opinion. That's my story.
I mean, that's what got me hooked. When I first watched the first one, it was intriguing. And I thought, it's got to go somewhere, otherwise you wouldn't make a documentary about it. But guess what? It didn't go anywhere, and they did make a documentary about it.
Right.
So I was like, well,
And by the end of it, you were right back where you started.
I can make a documentary on ghost hunts I've done, and it went nowhere, and done some fluff and filled it out, and taken long pauses and sentences and say, I don't know. But, I could
Talk
fill
very
up.
dramatically.
And at the end of the 5 episodes,
Yeah.
you're nowhere
Now, and
farther than you were
finally-
before.
It was kind of weird, though, that things didn't happen at the same time we were here. That's a coincidence.
Yep.
And always the synchronicities. So, I believe, if my math is correct, as you all are hearing this, if you're listening to it, the week that it comes out, this Saturday when it's your time, not our time now.
Ooh, we're telling the future.
I know.
Ooh. We're getting good at this.
Anyway, if you are in Iowa, there's 2 different things going on. If you're near Ames, because Iowa State has a bye week, so there is the Ames Psychic and Paranormal Expo happening on the campus of the campus of Iowa State in Ames. I cannot remember the name of the building, but it's right near Jack Trice, and there'll be signs up. So if you're near Ames, do that. Also happening, though, and something I'm a little bit more interested in, is the Van Meter Visitors Festival. And if you're unfamiliar with Van Meter Monster, look into it. Speaking of cryptozoology and myths, it's a little bit like Mothman, and it's really kind of interesting, but they have a festival that they put on now, and so the Granger House will be at both of these events. I'm actually hoping to go to Van Meter instead of Ames, just because, not that there's anything wrong with Ames, I've just done those several times, and I've never been to the Van Meter one, so my expectations are high for something interesting. So hopefully I won't be disappointed. But if you are near Van Meter, which is west of Des Moines,
Is it like the Mothman?
It's very similar.
Let's go there with a huge lantern and catch it.
Okay. Now my understanding is the Van Meter monster has not been seen since like the 20s. And I could have that date wrong. But it's really interesting. And I am eager to learn more about it. And I'm hoping that this will be... I know that obviously this is not the first year this festival has taken place. So my expectations are high for something a little bit different and interesting. So if you are near either of those places on the 28th of September, that's when both of those are taking place. And if you go to Van Meter on the 28th, you can go to Ames on the 29th as well.
There you go. You could do both.
Look at me.
Busy.
It's a
More busy
weekend.
than I want to be.
All right. Anything to add? Feet, monsters, pictures, movies.
No, not really. I mean, honestly, there's so many movies that I've forgotten that are probably really good, but you know, I can't remember.
I think The Exorcist has probably
It's got to be up there.
influenced our side of society a lot more than just about any movie. Honestly. In a lot of different ways.
Well, I
would
mean,
agree.
one I will mention, and not really because it's paranormal, but because it's influenced a lot of people into thinking that kind of stuff, is the Da Vinci Code.
It's a
Where,
great book, though. I love
I know,
those books.
but it's influenced a lot of people now to see the church conspiracies and everything else, you know.
You know, if you're into conspiracies, which I never really was, I love Dan Brown's writing, and I love that series. But Jesse Ventura did a series called Conspiracy
Yeah.
Theories. It was so good, though.
Yeah, no.
It was.
And
I loved
the
it.
guy was a governor too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be
He
the most
believed
biggest
every
conspiracy ever.
conspiracy that there is.
I mean, I really liked that show.
Government's trying to turn us all into robots.
Oh,
The
there's.
reptilian people
Yep.
and
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
But you know, people really believe this stuff. People really believe reptilian people exist.
You know, though, other people are saying people really believe that ghosts exist.
I know they are.
So, you know, that's another thing that I've thought about, in that the things that I don't believe in, you know, trying to apply that to things I do believe in, and vice versa. And I think that gets me a little more open-minded on some things. And that helps me shut down some stuff too. So, you
So
know.
you're buying into the color of orbs now?
No!
I was just asking.
Oh, come on.
Everybody knows it's their shape.
Depends on the face. Is it frowning or is it smiling?
It's smiley face.
Then it's a good orb.
Emoji orb.
And I've got
The
friends.
poo orb.
Yep.
I'm going to buy you that book.
I brought poo into our podcast.
You win the poo prize for this week.
God, we fucked off.
We should make a turd trophy. Put someone's name on it every week.
That could be the prize for some of our little contests that we
The
do.
fact that
You
these
get
two
the
are
poo
sitting
trophy.
here cracking each other up right now.
Okay.
You got the turd cup.
Oh my god, you guys are 5.
I gotta feel 5.
No.
I was much happier when I was 5. Leave me alone.
We done?
Probably not.
Alright, well, I'm going to pick up then. If you want to see any of John's videos, you can catch him Facebook and YouTube. And then I didn't know until recently that you have a website too.
Yes, we do. WTFinvestigations.com.
And it's just one word, WTF,
Yep.
WTF Investigations. Okay.
Yep.
So WTF Investigations, Facebook and YouTube, and then add a .com on there and you can find their webpage. And does it have your videos on there too?
Yeah, the webpage's got a link to Facebook and YouTube. So, honestly, we don't update the webpage that much. It's more of a landing site for people to go to. Because Facebook URLs are a pain in the butt, and until we get enough subscribers, so is the YouTube one. So I figured we put that page up. If you get there, you can go to either Facebook or YouTube.
Perfect.
And subscribe.
Right, we got you all kinds of new subscribers.
No, nobody subscribed to the YouTube. They just like the Facebook page so that they get the posts, which is fine. I'm not going to say
Darren and Kim.
no, that's fine. But we need at least 100 subscribers before we get a YouTube works. I think you need 100 subscribers to get an actual URL.
Alright.
So-
Do you get to see who your 100th subscriber is?
No. I know, and I'm not allowed to offer prizes. I was going to do that, but then they kick you off.
But we're not on YouTube, so they wouldn't know.
That's true.
Poo
I'm
trophies.
going to buy a beer for the 100th subscriber.
There you go. Anyway, if you want to find us, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at Seeking the Paranormal. And if you want to find me, you can find me at C Paranormal Sarah on Facebook. And then also we've got an interest group for those of you in Iowa, and even if you're not, the Eastern Iowa Paranormal Interest Group. Also, I almost forgot.
So many pages.
I know. Well, no. So, I was thinking today as I was looking for our picture of the week that I'm always the one that's finding them. So if you have any pictures of your own that you would like us to take a look at and give you our thoughts on,
Clothes on.
please.
No, that's debatable.
No, it's a thing. Please. You can email those to us. Actually, get a hold of us on our either Facebook or Twitter, and I'll get you an email address that you can send us those pictures. We'd love to talk about them. Good Christ. Alright, anything else you guys want to say?
Absolutely not.
When you said that, I just had a picture of someone with a phone going, I got one.
I mean...
it's hard when you're the only mature one in the group.
I wouldn't know. It's never happened.
It's not true.
Actually, I'm quite serious on investigations.
It's all fun and games.
Until somebody gets an eye poked out.
Someone gets a selfie they didn't want to get.
Oh, yeah? What do you think of that?
Alright. On that note, we're going to say goodbye, and we will talk to you next week. Until then, keep seeking the paranormal.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening, and for all things Paranormal Buzz Radio related, check out our website at paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter and Instagram.
And be sure to follow Seeking the Paranormal on Facebook at Seeking the Paranormal, and also on Twitter at Seeking the P.